the memo. Derrick Rose can go upstairs.
Time for a brand new podcast. It's episode 185 of Gimme the Hot Sauce. Timmy Whispers in the building. He's as red as ever, alongside Stacey King. How you feeling, Whispers?
Well, I don't think the beta blockers have kicked in yet, but I'm expecting them any moment now.
Yeah.
Or it could be the IPA I'm sucking.
So you were in Nashville. How was your weekend?
Mark, I'm going to tell you, Nashville kind of reminds me of Vegas without the casinos.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, man. I tell you what, I haven't been there. My dad is from Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and I got a lot of family in Tennessee, so I haven't been in Nashville probably. The only attraction was in Nashville when I was a kid was like Dolly World, Dolly Parton's amusement park, and then the Grand Ole Opry. There was nothing else. And then now all of a sudden it's been built up into this completely different thing, like an attraction for out-of-towners to come and see. Broadway Street. Unbelievable, like
Bachelorettes,
Bachelorettes. I was looking for the Hawk-Tua girl. I really wanted to meet her. I want to take a picture of America. I wasn't trying to get the Hawk-Tua. I was trying to talk to her. I want to take a picture because she's viral. She's famous.
Yeah,
Shaq did it. So.
Oh, she's definitely viral.
Yeah, she's really viral. Yeah, but I didn't run into her. But we ran into a lot of like nice bars. Like every country star seems like they have a bar there. Jason Aldean, the one country guy who's not country that has a bar there, John Bon Jovi.
All right.
Supposedly they fought.
So does Kid Rock.
Well, he's country. He's country.
Yeah,
really? he switched from rap. He switched from rap to country. We're not even talking about that guy. That guy, he violated the culture. He steals culture and then he jumps back over. He got famous by doing black music and then jumped over to country. Yeah, okay. We don't count.
Did I tell you about the last time I was there?
No, what was?
So we got an Airbnb to go to a trade show, and Rich and I see all these little things in the carpet. Like, what is this? Start picking them up. They're little tinfoil dicks.
Are you saying penises?
Penises. I'm sorry. Use the correct word.
Yes. There was how many?
They were shuttlecocks.
Oh my God! Because there's so many bachelorette parties going on there. I mean, it's unbelievable how many people go there.
The laws haven't caught up. I was telling you this the other day. Look out for this: a tractor just going right down Broadway.
Yeah.
With a trailer on the back with a hot tub. There's no licensing for this.
None.
With a bunch of girls drinking at 8 a.m, flashing you while you're trying to walk to a trade
Mark.
show. It was great.
Mark, there was a party bus with like 15 girls on it. Okay, and it was hot during the afternoon. It was during the afternoon, probably around 2:00, and they, all of them had these nice little sundresses on. And sundresses, boy, I tell you can find a nice sundress one. That's really nice. So all these girls had sundresses
with
on,
air conditioning, right?
But half of them didn't have underwear on.
Exactly.
And they're bending over, flashing people, and I'm like, where's the? I mean, it's not like I was like appalled. I wasn't appalled by it, but I was in there. This is broad daylight, 2:00 in the afternoon. Nobody's monitoring this. Like, hey, ladies, you can't do that. They were just like, I was like, holy cow.
Jeez.
I was trying to, and by the end of the day, I was still trying to find that little cart.
I won't be there till Sunday.
Well, it'll be dead when you get there. Because the 4th was packed, dude. It was unbelievable how many people were there.
Yeah.
Like, they had a nice little 4th of July fireworks display. It was amazing. The streets were like super crowded. It was hot as hell there. We met some friends there. I had family there, but me and my girlfriend met some friends there. And we played at this place. If you ever get a chance to go to this place called Pins. Pins has like all these like amazing games. They have you have cornhole or bags. They got like this miniature bowling game. All these little video games. Really cool place. And so, I'm a bag champion. Like I can really play some bags. And then I hate to lose too. So shout out to my girlfriend Angela, who's a bag champion, and she proved to be the bag champion in Nashville, Tennessee. She won 2 games to 1, and my shoulder was hurting, Mark. So I'm gonna put it on my shoulder. She didn't win fair and square. She beat a man. She beat a man who was parking in a handicap.
Yeah.
Wow.
So did you have any business down there, or was this all pleasure?
It was all pleasure, man. Yeah. It was all pleasure. It was something that I wanted to do. I've been wanting to go there because I got a lot of Chicago people are there. I met a lot of people from Chicago there. And some of my friends who lived in Chicago have moved to Nashville now, and they're saying, hey, this is the place to be, yada, yada. So I just wanted to check it out. And I had a weekend off. I didn't have anything planned on the 4th, because Tim wasn't going to invite us over his house. So I felt this was the perfect time for me to get away since I wasn't invited over to Tim's house or get on the boat like we used to do back in the day when he used to ask me to serve hors d'oeuvres. So I decided I wanted to go on a vacation.
He got a new guy.
Yeah, new guy. Yeah. He got a new guy.
His name's Mark something. Mark S.
Mark Chanowski. So that's what we did. I decided to go to Nashville, and it was a good little trip.
Yeah.
I was there from Thursday to Tuesday. I just got back yesterday, and we had a lot of fun.
So while you were gone, Saturday night, I was working over at Channel 7 about 9:15. We got the news that DeMar DeRozan in a 3-team sign and trade deal going to the Sacramento Kings. Not a surprise because we knew Sacramento was one of the teams that was interested in DeMar, but the way they rolled it out, they got it done, and then their owner took him out to the Summer League game, and he got a standing ovation from the crowd. And, you know, DeMar is a class act all the way. We're going to miss him here in Chicago. We've had him on the podcast, a really great guy. You know, he drove to Champaign for Io's jersey retirement. He supported all the young guys. He's done everything that's asked of him. And now he's going to Sacramento with a chance to be on an up-and-coming team in the West.
Well, you know, I got a chance to get an interview with some of the guys out in Sacramento because they wanted to know what kind of player they were getting. And I said, well, what have you been doing the last 3 years? Like, this guy was a 2-time, out of 3 years he's been here, he's a 2-time All-Star. Yep. He's Mr. Fourth Quarter. Everybody knows that he's one of the best fourth quarter scorers in the NBA consistently over the last 3 years. We call him the king of the fourth. I said, you guys are getting a consummate pro. You're going to get a guy who's going to play 70-plus games. He doesn't miss games for, you know, silly injuries like my toenail or my back or my earlobe hurts. He's going to show up. He's going to play. He's going to play how many minutes you need him to play. He's going to be in practice. He's a consummate pro. But the thing I liked about him when he was here was that he took the younger players underneath his wing to teach them how to be pros. And when you got a guy like that, normally guys at the end of their career, you know, are torn towards the end of their career. They're more like reserve players. They're guys that are going to wave the towel and be that little inspiration on the bench when guys come off and talk. Like Udonis Haslem was the last 3 years in Miami. Their role is diminished, but their role is so important because they're consummate pros. So teams like to keep those guys on there. DeMar, you're still getting an all-star caliber player.
He led the league in minutes played at age 34.
You're still getting an all-star caliber player. You're not getting a guy that's going to come in there and be ML Carr and waving a towel. You're getting a guy that's going to come in there that's going to take some pressure off of Fox. It's going to take some pressure off Sabonis because those guys, you know, you could tell having to score all the time consistently really, really hurt them last year. They were a different team last year than they were the year before when they made the playoffs. They were the top 4 or 5 teams in the West. They took a dive last year. A lot of it could have been injuries. I don't know because I don't really follow them very closely, but a lot of it could have been injuries or whatever, chemistry issues. But they still got to keep a majority of their roster. Now you're adding him. You still got Herter. They were trying to move earlier. You got Fox. You got Sabonis. You got the kid Murray, who's up and coming dynamic wing. Yeah. So, and I think that's going to enable them to put DeMar at his natural position, which I've always said his natural position is 2 guard. Put him at 2 guard. You got Murray at the 3, Fox at the 1. Whoever they want to play at the 4, that was really Barnes, but they moved him to San Antonio. So they'll probably put one of their younger players that they want to get more minutes there. And then you got Sabonis at the 5. And then you got Monk as the 6th man. So they've got some depth. They've got some really good players. And you got a guy, Mark, when you have a hard time scoring, you get him the ball, get out the way and let him do his thing.
Yeah, because watching Sacramento over the last couple of years, it seemed like in the fourth quarter they just gave the ball to De'Aaron Fox in close games and said try to create something, and he ended up taking a lot of bad shots because he didn't have a lot of options. He was getting double teamed immediately on the inbounds pass. Now you got a guy in DeRozan that you can go to, and maybe Fox can play a little bit off the ball and get some open looks.
Well, it's going to take pressure off both him and Sabonis. Sabonis is a guy, like, you just can't throw the ball to him and say, go get it. You know what I'm saying? You got to put him in pick and rolls, dive, like dives to the basket, him running in transition. You just can't say, pop the ball out and just say, hey, go to work like a Karl Anthony Towns can put the ball on the floor and get to the rim. I think he'll be able to score much easier, take some pressure off him. The one thing they're really going to have going for them is into quarters. Into quarters when you need someone to get a bucket or get fouled, DeMar will be that guy that they say, hey, give him the ball. He can get something good out of it, and he's a willing passer. The last few years, he's really got his assist totals up. So it's not like he's a black hole. People like to always point to the fact, oh, ISO. But if you looked at the Bulls, offense the last couple of years, without Lonzo Ball, you had to kind of play that way. The second year DeMar was here, he single-handedly got us into the playoff situation by playing that ISO ball. And I think Billy got more comfortable allowing him to be the facilitator on the offense. And I think that's why that kind of tended more when people say, oh, DeMar DeRozan is ISO. But he was very effective in ISO.
I know a lot of Bulls fans are wondering, why didn't we get a more accomplished player back, Harrison Barnes or Kevin Huerter? But you got to remember that in these sign and trade deals, it's not like a straight trade. What you're doing is you're facilitating a guy who can't fit into cap space. So you're not going to get the same return as you're going to get in a straight trade. The guy that got back, Chris Duarte, had a very good rookie season with the Indiana Pacers, averaged about 13 points a game. He's 6'5", played at Oregon. He's a defensive guy who could maybe take some of the Alex Caruso role in terms of being a big guard who can defend. I'm not saying he's a world beater, but he's a guy that you can use in certain situations so he can help you. You also got 2 second-round draft picks, which you're like, well, what are you going to do with a second-round draft pick? There's still talk about a Zach LaVine trade. They may include those second-round draft picks in order to facilitate a move. So there could be another roster.
Well, and here's the thing, Bulls Nation. I know that there's some people who get this and there's some people who don't. And for the people who don't get what the Bulls are doing, you can't have it both ways. Okay, I mean, you can't say we want to win and then we need to be younger. Okay, because the experiment didn't work. Let's just be honest. Now, had Lonzo Ball stayed healthy, this is a totally different team. We may not even have this conversation. We may see the Bulls spend over the luxury tax because you have a championship caliber team. Now they go over the luxury tax and go get a player that we need. But you're not going to go over the luxury tax to a team that's playing in the play-in game. Unless a genie's going to guarantee you, if you go on the luxury tax, you're going to be a number 1 seed. That's the only way you do that. And there's no genies doing that. Right. So it's not smart business-wise because you hear this, the Bulls don't want to pay to go over luxury tax. They never want to go over luxury tax. What owner is going to go over luxury tax when your team is a play-in team? Okay. Now, again, Lonzo not gone out and they played the way they had played when he first was playing, when he was healthy. Caruso was healthy. Everybody was healthy. Bulls were number 1 team in the NBA, not just the Eastern Conference. They were number 1 team in the NBA. Now you say, okay, let's go over luxury. We need a small forward or we need another big man. Let's go spend that money and go get that. Then, okay, I see your point. But the way the Bulls were going, it was just going to be, we're going to be right down there at 8th seed. We're going to be right down there playing game 2 years in a row. And it would have been a 3rd year in a row. Okay. We don't know how Zoe's going to be back. We all expect Zoe to come back. We want Zoe to be healthy.
We saw a video of him playing 5-on-5 this past week.
We want him to come back. Okay. But all that right now is just, you're getting your hopes up high because you're seeing him in isolated situations, not a lot of pressure, not a lot of, extensive work. When you get into the NBA, it's grueling. Guys are going to pick you up full court. Guys are going to run you off screens. There's not going to be like, hey, let's slow it down. Let's not work him too hard here. They're going to go at him. We don't know yet how he's going to be. We don't even know how many minutes he's going to play. We don't even know what the Bulls are going to do with him when he comes back. But what I do like is what they did. This is what I've said all along. What AK is doing now, I've been saying for like the last 5 years, if I had, not just for the Bulls, but if I had a team that was underachieving or not playing to their capabilities, I would unload and I would get me players that have played. You've heard me say this. Get guys off other teams' rosters. Go get me a 2nd or 3rd year player who's got some NBA experience, has played a little bit, that has a huge upside. There are a ton of those guys in this NBA. A lot of these guys go to another team and they turn out to be stars. There's a lot of those guys on the bench. That's why you have to have your scouts, not just scout college and high school or the G League. You got to have your scouts watch other teams' players on the bench and get record of what they're doing, what their stats are. This guy shoots, 60% from the corner of the 3 over here. He shoots 50% over here. Know what they do. So then if they become available, you have those guys on your roster and then you can go get them. If we were to completely rebuild, this year's draft was supposed to be weak. Okay. That's where the consensus, there's some good players in there, but it was supposed to be one of the weakest drafts. It would take you 5+ years to build a team to even get to the point where you get free agents interested in coming in here. You could have a losing team and lose like Detroit is losing. Okay. How many free agents are busting down the door to come play in Detroit? Even with all that young talent that they have, you lost 20-some games in a row last year. There's not superstar players don't want to come at that part of rebuilding. They want to come when you get 30 wins, 32 wins. Then they say, okay, they got 32 wins, a couple players away from getting to a 50-win plateau. But when you're only winning 15 games and you're not showing improvement, it's tough to go out and get free agents to come here. And that's what Brooklyn did. Remember when Brooklyn got Kevin Durant, Kyrie, and all these guys, Brooklyn played so hard and got to the playoffs with an average team. These guys were like, I want to go play in Brooklyn. The city, the light and the nightlife, and this team is only a couple players away. Now we got 3 players coming. We might be a championship caliber team. Didn't work out.
Right.
But the idea was good.
Yeah, and a lot of people are confused about the protections on this 2025 draft pick. They all picked the Bulls all picked the Spurs from the DeRozan original sign and trade back in 2021, but it's top 10 protected. So if it's in the top 10 picks, the Bulls keep it, and obviously that's part of the plan right now. Billy Donovan's going to be in kind of a trick box this year because let's say Zach is still on the team and Lonzo comes back. You're going to be in that area.
You're talking about if those guys come back, you're talking about winning 40 games.
And then that pick's going to San Antonio, which kind of messes up.
Yes, and this is the draft that you don't want to do it because there are so many talented kids in that draft. This is one of the deepest, most talented drafts they've been
Flag's
around.
already tearing up the
he's already should be on the Olympic team. When Kawhi Leonard bowed out, they should have went right to him and said, after watching him just dismantle all LeBron, AD, Kawhi Leonard, like he dismantled these dudes, and he looked like a pro out there.
Yeah.
He didn't look scared. He looked like he belonged. And I'm like, add the kid to the team. It'd be great experience. Put him out there. He can hold his own. And he gives you young legs. He can play multiple positions for you. When you need some energy, you put him out there. Kid will block shots, dunk on you, whatever. I think he should be on there. But back to the Bulls' point, Mark. Here's what I don't think people understand what the Bulls have done. The Bulls have went out and got Giddey. They've gone out and get, Jalen Smith. You got Chris Duarte. You got Ayo coming back. You got Kobe coming back. You got Patrick Williams coming back, okay? So you got 5 or 6 kids coming back who are under 25 years old, okay? They have started, this group I just named, have started close to 700 plus games between all of them. So when you're looking at experience and you're looking at, these guys don't have experience. If you're getting a kid in a draft, like we're draft somebody and we draft this year. Okay, we got a draft pick coming who's never played in the NBA. And he's not much younger than the ones that we got right now that are like 23, 24 years old. They got close to 700 starts. So you're getting experienced young players, which is going to speed up your rebuild process if you're able to keep all those guys or pick the ones you want. Giddey, I don't think Giddey's a guy that we're not gonna let go. I mean, he's a guy that we're gonna want in the future. But you got a nice situation right now building some young players who have actual NBA experience that can come in here and contribute right away. And I tell you what, each one of those kids, I guarantee you, is eager to show what they can do because being on other teams, you weren't able to do that. Chris Duarte last year, when people looked at his Sacramento stats and they go, we got a guy from Sacramento. Oh, they must have thrown him in with a bag of Doritos. Well, he was second all-rookie team. He was on the all-rookie team. It's his first year. He was averaging almost 14 points a game, and Indiana was in the rotation starting most of the games. He went to Sacramento. Hard to crack that lineup with all the players that they got. So, of course, he doesn't get the minutes that he got in Indiana. The kid's 6'6". Did they not check his game out, what he did to Greece the other day when he had 26 points, shot 5 of 6 from the three-point line in the national qualifier? The kid can play. He can defend. He's a tough kid. Got dog in him. You got Kobe, who I think is ready to ascend to all-star caliber level. If he comes in and matches what he did last year, he averaged 19 points a game. I can see him moving up. And then you got Giddey, who was really, really playing well until they put the ball in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's hand, and he had to kind of play off the ball. So I think we got some good. I'm excited. I think if anything is going to be fun, it's going to be these kids are going to have energy. They're going to run up and down the floor. You're going to be able to do some things with them, press, play up tempo, and really play a lot faster. We may lack some size as far as big guys are concerned. I think they should go out and get one more big, a veteran big. And I'll roll with these guys. I'll get in the foxhole with these boys.
But as you know, ultimately, stars win in the NBA, and,
Yep.
and the Bulls don't have one right now. And once they get,
You got Vooch.
once they
Wow,
get
Mark.
Vooch and
Wow.
Lonzo and LaVine
Wow,
off the
Mark.
books, then you got to go in the marketplace and find a superstar to go with these young guys.
But if anything, you have to develop these young kids first. You got to develop these kids first, and then let's see how they grow, and then we decide which ones we want to keep, and then we build around them.
All right, well, the voice of contrarianism in Bulls Nation has always been Nick Friedell. And we're lucky enough that Nick Friedell is going to join us next to give his take on the Bulls' quasi-rebuild, retool. Nick Friedell, our good buddy, is coming up next on Gimme the Hot Sauce. We are very excited to talk to our good buddy, Nick Friedell. But first, I want to tell you about one of our great sponsors, Jeff Vukovich. When it comes to being treated like royalty, make sure to contact nationwide agent Jeff Vukovich. He'll take care of all your needs insurance-wise. He'll treat you like royalty for all your auto, home, and business insurance needs. Contact Jeff Vukovich at jeffvuk.com. That's jeffvuk.com. The phone number, 847-825-4783. And I know Nick had one special request. Can I hear Stacey sing the jingle?
Oh, 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 nationwide is on your side.
Oh, we got the extended dance version from Stacey King. Hey, on the line now, it's our good friend, Odyssey Sports NBA insider Nick Friedell. If you're a fan of the league, make sure to check out the Heat Check podcast, which is hosted by Trista Crick. Listen to the Heat Check on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts. Nick, our friend, thank you for joining us today. I understand you just got back from Barcelona. What did you think? How was the travel?
Mark, it was pretty awesome. It is so good to hear y'all's voices. Even Stace singing. I mean, that was a summer version, clearly. But no, everything's great. I've been able to see the world. Spain was awesome. I can't wait to get back and explore some more. But I have definitely stayed in touch with the game and certainly what's going on in Chicago. So I can't wait to talk to you all about it.
Well, you know what? It's always been, when I know we talked, last time we had you on, you said you were going to travel the world, you're going to go all these places. So it's kind of like, where's Waldo? But forget where's Waldo. Where have you been, Nick? What places have you seen? Give us a little tour of where you've been on your free time.
Thanks. I went to Paris. I went to Nice and the French Riviera.
Wow.
Barcelona. I saw Bruce Springsteen outside Amsterdam.
Wow.
My mom and I went to Copenhagen and Stockholm a few months ago. I went to Japan, which was incredible. South Korea was awesome. All over Europe. I mean, I have been able to see the world the way I always hoped I would. Maybe not this soon, but it is all the old cliches, guys. You appreciate every day when you get to see something that you've never seen before, and especially for the world that we've traveled in sports, and we've been so lucky to be able to do it. But I've seen and been to Cleveland like 100 different times. I've never seen Tokyo. You get to Tokyo and you start walking around, and every block you're like, oh man, this is awesome. And even more, it's new. So it's been a great experience for me in this last year to kind of just see the world and see how everything else operates, because especially covering the league stage, and you've lived it longer than I have, you see everything and it's awesome, but you see the same places over and over, and you get used to going to the same restaurants and the same hotels. And look, that job is unbelievable, but there is something to be said for being outside the bubble for a second and kind of seeing what else is out there.
Yeah, I know your life got turned upside down a number of times. You were following the powerhouse teams around the league. You had to move out to the Bay Area to cover the mighty Golden State Warriors, then back to Brooklyn when Kevin Durant teamed up with Kyrie Irving. And now we're seeing something in the NBA where we've had different champions each of the last 6 years. And it seems like with so many good teams, so many good young stars around the league, people are wondering, can Boston repeat? Will they win another one? I think it's just incredibly difficult because there's so much movement in the league and there's so much talent that there's great balance, which is probably a good thing for the game.
I think it is, Mark, and I think overall the game is in a good place when you view it as, hey, there's a ton of great young talent. It seems like these teams are getting better, especially with the salary cap and the first apron and the second apron and the changes that there's been. It's harder to keep teams together and dynasties, to your point. The thing that scares me, though, guys, and this is a broader aspect of the conversation about which way is the league going and is it healthy, and certainly they've got all these billions now coming in with this new TV money. What worries me, though, in this is LeBron and Steph have carried this thing for so long that I just feel like, especially looking from a distance now, at least in the last year, and not being as close to it every single day, when LeBron and Steph go, I think the league, it's not in any kind of serious trouble or jeopardy. It's not going to completely fade away, but I think it's going to become more localized than we're used to. The NBA game has been so big and so national for so long,
Global.
and when you lose those two guys, global, absolutely. You see jerseys all over the place, but when you lose those two guys, I think that there is going to be a slide. How big of one there's going to be, we're going to find out over time. But those two guys have drawn in so many people who might not have cared, and I don't see that next guy, whomever he is, on the horizon right now. So there are a lot of different angles to all this, but from where I sit now, I look at it and go, all right, the league is in a good place and different teams are winning, but I just don't know where that next guy is coming from right now, and if that person is going to be able to draw the same day-to-day interest that those two guys had for the last couple decades.
Well, speaking of teams,
Here we go.
your favorite team, the Chicago Bulls. I know you've been watching what's been going on, the player movement early that AK and Mark Eversley has done, trying to basically change the makeup of the team. Give us your thoughts of, what you thought about DeMar DeRozan moving, Caruso moving, and then what are the Bulls going to do with Zach? Since we're hearing there's no market out there for him, it's dried up. Give us your attitude, Nick, because you're the only one that can bring a certain attitude when you talk about the Bulls.
As a Chicago hater, as they keep putting in.
Yeah.
Brace yourself
for this,
fans.
Bulls Nation. We're never gonna win. We're not gonna make it. Why are we here?
I feel
Where's Gar?
It's time for the yearly reality check.
Yes.
Let's
Like
hear
going to the dentist.
Let's hear it.
Right,
Yes.
it's like
with no painkiller.
And I can't wait to talk to y'all, and I miss you guys. I truly miss seeing you. And then we get to the part about the Bulls, and I'm always like, oh, okay. I mean, like,
You guys asked for it. I didn't want to go there, but you brought me there. Once I was out, you pulled me back in.
Yeah, right. I mean, Stace, they are a complete mess. A complete mess. As I watch, and I still talk to plenty of people, not only in the organization, but across the league, I mean, it's laughable. Like, what they have done. Like, just take the last few weeks of what's going on this summer. Are you kidding me? You could have traded Caruso at the deadline and gotten a lot better return than Giddey. You could have traded DeRozan way before this point and gotten much better assets in return. You could have moved Drummond for a couple picks. That didn't happen, and he walks. You could have moved Zach, a year and a half, 2 years ago, and gotten way better than whatever the hell they're going to get back now. I mean, you give Pat Williams $90 million for proving absolutely nothing, and then on top of giving him that deal, you tack on a player option at the end of it. So if he's any good, he's like, all right, I'm gone. Like, you better pay me more. People who were screaming and yelling for years and years to get Gar and Pax out of there, they would love, if they were honest with themselves, nothing more than Gar and Pax to be there right now. And I'm not saying like they should have been gone. If you're mad about the Bulls, you need to be mad at the right people. And the people to be mad at are Jerry and Mike Reinsdorf, because they've run it this way. They've allowed the wrong people to be in places of power for too long, and that's not just Gar and Pax, but now Karnisovas and Eversley. I look at what the Bulls have done, and I'm shaking my head more than I usually do when we have these conversations. They are so far away from being anywhere near the conversation of relevance that it's sad, because we all know how devoted and loyal the fan base is and how many people live and die with this team. But to continue to make the poor moves that at least these two guys have made in Karnisovas and Eversley, and knowing that Jerry and Mike have kept them in power instead of saying, what the hell is going on here? If you're a Bulls fan, you just have to shake your head, because they have allowed it to get to this point. It is going to be a terrible year upcoming, and there's no hope. There is no hope that this team is going to get back near the top anytime soon.
Nick, there have been reports from some of your colleagues on the Bulls beat that one of the reasons why Karnisovas didn't make any moves over the last couple of deadlines was his marching orders from ownership were, let's try to make the playoffs. Let's get those 2 home playoff games. And I don't know what the reality of it is, but obviously the guys that are reporting it are there day to day. They're in the trenches. Is that the central issue right now, is that the hands of the GM and the vice president of basketball operations are tied by not being able to make the moves that they think are best for the organization?
To a point, Mark. And that's why, again, I cannot stress this part enough. If you're a Bulls fan, the people to be maddest at, the people to get frustrated about are Jerry and Mike. That is just the truth. Is it specific to this move or that move? I mean, I saw the stories that you're talking about. I don't know if we'll ever know the exact truth. Who is making the final say over and over and over? And if you're ownership, why are you not getting out of the way when you're hiring whomever it may be? And this goes back to Gar and Pax, to Karnisovas and Eversley, saying, this is your team. You make the decisions, and we will live with those decisions. All I would tell you is this. Even if all of that is true and ownership saying, all right, you can't move this guy, or we want to focus on trying to make the playoffs, the moves that Karnisovas and Eversley have made have been bad. So it's like you've got the worst of both worlds. You've got ownership that is trying to tie the hands of the people that they've hired to make the decisions, and then you've got decision makers in place that are making the wrong decisions. So that's how bad teams stay bad, and that's where the Bulls are at. And anybody that doesn't agree with that has not been watching for the last decade, because this is the way that it's been, and this is the way that it will continue to be when you put the wrong people in the wrong places, and you have people up top in the highest of places that aren't allowing the people that they hire to do their jobs.
Objection, Your Honor. Objection.
Who signs your checks, Stace?
Objection. Okay. Let me tell you something. Nick Naysayer Friedell. I can sit here listening to you rip the Bulls apart. Okay, that's your job, buddy. But let me tell you something. Listen, I've always said this about this team. They went out and got Lonzo Ball. They went out and got DeMar DeRozan. They did the right thing initially. The game plan, the thought process was the right thing to do, to rebuild, get these guys in here. They went out and traded for guys, and they got the right pieces. The whole thing fell apart when Zoe went out. And I think the biggest mistake, if you're asking me the biggest mistake they made is not knowing, because no one knows what Zoe, if he's going to be able to come back. We're seeing this video of him now playing 5-on-5, but we still don't know. Even I told Mark, we don't know until he gets into an actual game situation, how many minutes he's going to play, what his mindset's going to be going up against real competition, guys who don't care that you've been out. They're going to go after you. You know what I'm saying? So my thing is that I felt like he wasn't coming. He's been gone for 2 years. They held on too long, in my opinion. That's when they should have said, okay, look, we don't know if he's coming back. This plan that we had going into it was a great plan, but it didn't work. Now let's do what we got to do to move. Now, I don't know. The rumor with AC last year saying that teams offered a first-round pick for him.
2 first-round picks.
Two first-round picks?
Yes.
Do you think that was true, Nick?
Stace, that is very true.
Because if it was,
Nick, in the rumor.
Nick, that's not a rumor.
That's not a rumor. That I can tell you.
Hey, because if that was the truth, Then that's hey.
Stacey's gonna put a different cap on all of a sudden. Now.
Hey, now, if that was the truth, Nick, he got 2 first-round picks. Oh Lord, have mercy.
Sustained.
Oh, but here, and when you go back, listen, we go back to the guard packs days too. Okay, the Bulls value their players more than what other people value the Bulls. You remember when you had Joe, you had Luol Deng, and those guys. They reached a certain point in their career where the injuries started coming in, and if you move them, you could have gotten some really good pieces for those guys before they got to the point where they were untradeable.
Pau Gasol, too.
Pau Gasol. I mean, those are the kind of things that when you talk to people on the outside, they say the Bulls value their players highly more than what everybody else does. And so when you look at this same situation, it kind of is the same situation. Is like, okay, let's run it back because we think we have enough talent with Zach, DeMar, and Vooch. And it didn't work out. And now they're realizing that it didn't work out. And so now it's like, okay, we got to scrap the plan, try to redo it. Instead of trying to build through the draft, they're picking up guys like Giddey, who's got 2 or 3 years of experience. All these other kids that are 24 years old that have some success in the NBA. They're not star players, but they've had some success as rookies and younger players, and then regrouping that way instead of going the draft way and trying to build through the draft. Because you're playing for Cooper Flag next year. This is at the end of the day. So even if the team stinks this year, it's still a good situation because we get to keep that pick. And who knows? Maybe we get lucky like we got Derrick Rose. And maybe we get that game changer number 1.
Look at Nick.
Yeah, Nick. So there's always light at the end of the tunnel, Friedell. It's not all darkness, buddy.
I think Stacey's a witness for the prosecution all of a sudden.
I mean, I have known you all for 2 decades at this point. Stacey, I love you completely. But it is such a bad mess that I just can't even. I mean, which way do you want to start? Yeah, they signed Lonzo Ball, but he had injury problems before he even got there. So everybody's who's like, oh, well, it would have worked if Lonzo had stayed healthy. Lonzo Ball had all kinds of problems, and they still gave him the money. And so when he got hurt, I think everybody around the league were like, okay. And then everybody is just this outpouring for DeRozan, who was here for a couple years. Seems like a great guy, was very good to the media. I can't even believe what I'm seeing, though. The Bulls didn't win a damn thing when he was there. Like, he was always available. He played his butt off. He led the organization in the standard it was trying to set every day, but they didn't win anything. Like, what dream world is going on?
But Nick, he was a 2-time All-Star. He was very efficient when he was here. You can't put that all off on DeMar. There was other factors why this team didn't have success.
Well, no question, but I mean, like, the Bulls won 0. And everybody's like, oh, DeMar, I can't believe DeMar is leaving.
But Nick, let's be honest. If you're putting that team together, you got 3 former All-Stars, okay? Just 3 former All-Stars. It doesn't matter why they got All-Stars, or why Zach was an All-Star, why Vooch was an All-Star. You have 3 legitimate All-Stars. That alone should get your team to be very competitive. 3 All-Star caliber players. That should make you competitive.
But you and I know that there is a big difference in pro sports and certainly in the NBA. We can sit there and go, oh, this guy's an all-star. But there are all-stars that are up here, and then there are all-stars that are just on the team.
Well, there's superstars, and then there's stars.
Well, exactly. And the Bulls don't have any superstars.
And we don't have superstars, and a lot of teams don't have superstars. A lot of teams
I agree.
I mean, you got LeBron James who's starting to look at the Lakers. Lakers ain't win jack shit either. So that point, you got to get a group of guys and a coach that will put these guys together, get these guys to compete and play at a high level. Detroit showed you years ago you don't have to have a superstar to win a championship. You can get a collection of guys that are pulling in the same direction, and you're just gritty, gutty, and you're going to do whatever it needs to do to win, and that's what they did.
Yeah, but that's one in the last 50 years.
Yeah, but I think having superstars can sometimes be like, overused too much. Everybody, you got to have 3. First, you had 3 superstars.
Right.
Now it's like, okay, now you only need 2. Okay, so you got to have a good mix of chemistry.
Here's the problem. Stace, this ties everything together. The Bulls don't have any. They didn't have any. I remember being on with you guys a few years ago, and I said, okay, Stace, can DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, and Vucevic win a title together? Yes or no? No. Okay. I mean, like, that is the problem.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah, it was like that. We're done. So,
Nick, but I was honest. I was honest, Nick. I was honest
Right.
because let me tell you this, and the reason why I said it, I will say it what I said before, because if your three best players are not your hardest working players and they don't play both ways, you're not going to win anything. You'll have a lot of points, you'll have a lot of scoring and have a lot of offense, and it'll look good in the stat sheets. But if your three players are not willing to buckle down defensively and shut their guys down as well as score, you're just playing in the bottom feeders. And I think that's what you've seen. Zach doesn't want to play defense or is not committed to playing defense. He's a great scorer. DeMar is a great scorer, but his defense lacked, and Vooch's defense is non-existent. So your three best players are not your three best defenders. It's going to be tough.
Bingo. And that really, as you watch what the Bulls have done, not only in the last couple of years, but looking ahead, that's why they are just so far away. I mean, DeRozan, again, a hell of a guy, solid offensive player. You weren't going anywhere with him. I mean, we haven't even touched on LaVine. That contract, guys, is so incredibly bad. It might be the worst contract in the NBA, which is incredible. I mean, there are so many bad contracts, and that's number one. They can't even give the deal away. That's why when you're looking at what's going on with the Bulls, the only hope they have, I mean, the Derek thing fell in their laps. We know that whole story. Stace, to the point about Cooper Flagg, if you're the Bulls, what other choice do you have? You certainly can't give away that pick to San Antonio.
No.
So the tank is all the way on coming up this year. I mean, this team, this is one of those teams that, like, if you're a diehard, you're like, oh, let's see the progression of the younger guys this year. I mean, that's fun in game like 7. That's not as fun in game 57 when, you know, they've won 20 games. So there is such a gap, and there needs to be so much work done from a roster standpoint. But again, this is where, why would you trust Karnisovas and Eversley to do anything? Repeatedly, they have made the wrong decisions in building this team. That it's inarguable. The decisions that they've made have gotten them to this point. The Bulls were in a better situation when those guys got hired, and everybody was going nuts. Oh my gosh, they made a deal for Vucevic. That was a bad deal. I mean, look at what they gave up to get whatever production they have now. So there are a whole lot of different arguments to be made as far as the look ahead for the Bulls. The problem is none of them look any good for the next few years unless you luck into that type of game-changing talent at the top of the draft. And if you don't, guys, if you're the Bulls, I mean, they are just completely off the radar. They are a team that is irrelevant right now, and that's just it's hard to believe it's gotten to this point.
Objection again. Let me ask you a serious question. Because unfortunately, just like on superstar teams that are winning playoffs, you have to pay your superstar players, Jokic, Murray. You got to. That's just the way it goes all throughout the league, from 1 through 30. Okay, if you're a team that is bottom of the pack, okay, you have a choice to make. Your best player, Zach, is our best player. You cannot let Zach walk for nothing. You can't. You had to pay Zach his money. You had to. He's a superstar player on your team.
You did not have to.
What was the suggestion? Just let him walk?
I mean, you're talking to somebody that would have let him walk before he signed that first extension, because my point all along with Zach is hell of an offensive player, already has injury concerns, doesn't play defense, will never be on a team that wins. That was, 6 years ago? So how does that stand up now? And I'm willing to admit, hey, okay, they made the move to give him 4 years and $78 million. Okay, cool. I mean, like, he had a couple all-star seasons and scored a lot of points. Those teams didn't go anywhere. The worst move of the Karnisovas and Eversley era, though, the worst decision by far, is that they did not move him when he was in that next contract. If you move him in the third year, when people were and teams were looking for scoring and looking for an offensive boost, you get back a couple picks and maybe a guy who can help start you towards the next phase of whatever's going to happen. And they didn't. And they gave him that contract. So absolutely, you could have let him walk. This guy, he always had injury concerns and he never played defense. What has changed?
I disagree. Again, objection. You just can't let. Listen, we're not Denver. I'm sorry. We're not Denver.
Chicago.
I know, but he's our star player. I think anybody in that situation, Nick, re-signs him. I think probably 90% of the teams in this league, if the role was reversed and they had to make a decision to either keep him or let him walk, I would have to say 90% of people are going to keep their star player because it's so hard to get players of that magnitude, even though he doesn't play defense. And it's because of laziness. It has nothing to do that he can't play. It's because he has the focus has been with Zach since he's been in this league. Just score, and we'll worry about defense later. No one has made him say, listen, if you don't play defense, you want to know why you're not top 20 player? You want to know why you're not a top 25 player? Because you don't play on both ends. If you play on both ends, there's no reason why you shouldn't be in the top 5 in steals with your athleticism. No coach has implied that to him. They've just said, we just want you to score. Score 30, and we'll worry about the rest of it later. You don't have rim protection behind him. You don't have a shot blocker behind him. So now his defense is even more exposed. And DeRozan's defense was more exposed last year. So I don't blame the Bulls for re-signing Zach. I know it seems like a bad contract, but he was their superstar. They were forced to do that. And in their minds, if we let him walk, what close do we get? What are we going to get even close to his offensive talent, let alone his athleticism? We'd have to go through the draft and pray that we get someone of that magnitude because there's nobody out there that's going to walk through the Bulls' door and say, hey, y'all all Zach, but I can do the same things he can do. You see what I'm saying? You got to keep your stars. And I think that's why the teams that are lower teams, they're forced to keep their stars. They can't let their stars walk. You think Milwaukee wouldn't go back and do that situation with Drew Holiday again and say, wait, we don't really need Dame Lillard? They take Drew Holiday back in a second now that they went through a whole year. Not saying Dame Lillard's not a good player. It's that he didn't bring the same tangibles, the winning tangibles that Drew Holiday did to Boston. That's why Boston won.
Stace, I hear everything that you're saying, and we've gone around and around, especially on the LaVine conversation for years. All that I would say back is he's just not a star player.
And I will agree. I will agree with you on that. Because if you took Zach LaVine right now, I get in this argument in the barbershop all the time. If you take Zach LaVine and you say, to me, he's a third option on most really good teams, okay? Mm-hmm. He's a first 1 or 2 on teams that are not winning. So if you took Zach LaVine, you said, put him on Denver. What option is he there? Third or fourth? Because he's not. Jokic and Murray's 1 and 2, and then you got the
Michael Porter,
but the Aaron Gordon. Aaron Gordon is probably their third best player, so he'd be a fourth.
Right now
option
he's at 5.
Exactly.
Probably,
you go to Golden State. You go to Golden State before they make trades. What option is he there? And they were barely a playoff team.
But you're still talking Steph, Draymond, Wiggins.
Exactly.
Boom,
and that's my
instantly.
point.
And but this is where, all right, so let's look forward though into whatever they're going to do from now on for the Bulls. This is where they needed to have an honest conversations with themselves. And this goes back to the contract. Because the worst thing, and I don't have to tell you this, you lived it. The worst thing that can happen in the NBA is if you pay a player star money who's not a star. You compound that by paying a money to a star player who's not a star with the guy who's had injury concerns. And he's had them all along.
And that's the problem throughout the NBA too, Nick, is everybody is like, there should be tiers. There should be tier levels in the NBA as far as players' salaries are concerned. There are certain players in this league that are marquee superstar players. And you can probably only, if you just name 10 off the top of your head that these guys should be the highest player, give me 10. Give me your best 10 that you think are tier 1. If we had tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3, but you take tier 1. Who's your top 10?
Yeah,
or even more if you have more than 10.
I mean, we could go, you'd go Steph and LeBron and Tatum. I mean, like, I understand where you're going, but what I'd say is I don't think Zach's in the top 40 at this point.
But he's
and
paid.
again,
but he's paid like that, and a lot of players are paid like that because of the teams
but
have to keep him.
He's the worst. See, this is the problem, though. He's the worst. Except you're right. There are players who are making way too much for the level that they perform at night to night.
Yes.
Well, look at Brandon Ingram with the Pelicans. They're trying to get rid of him. Nobody wants that
exactly.
contract.
Yes.
This is the worst example. And just bringing it full circle, guys, this is why people ask, well, why were you down on LaVine from the beginning? Because, again, I didn't think they should have given him 4 years for 78. Stace, what you outlined about the defense and not wanting to play on that end of the floor, that would have absolutely scared the hell out of me because who was his coach in Minnesota at the end? I mean, we know who that was.
Yeah.
So if Crazy Tibbs cannot get that guy to play defense more than he had shown, I don't know who's going to be able to do it because he's been able to do it in Chicago, certainly, and we see it every night now in New York. So anyway, all of that is to say, if I'm the Bulls, I would do anything I could and attach whatever I had to move off of that contract.
Even a first-round pick. Even a first-round pick.
A first-round pick.
Because that's what you're hearing. That's what you're hearing that's going to be attached to.
I mean, if that's what it took, if I'm sitting there trying to get off that money in that deal, I'm attaching a first-round pick 6 years from now because I'm going to say I can't get the most out of the younger guys I want to develop on this roster, and they can't find the time and the space on the floor that they're going to need if this guy is still here. Very clearly, he doesn't want to be there anymore. Very clearly, the Bulls don't want him there anymore. So you acknowledge that the deal is bad, you attach what you need to attach, and you walk away. And you say thanks for it.
But what if you said to the people, because everybody's question is health, if he's healthy or not. What if you're the Bulls and say, you know what, we don't like what we're getting, the offers that we're getting, and this is not really doing anything for us. Let's bring him back, trade deadline, let him get his numbers up, let him play, let everybody see he's healthy, he's athletic, his mind's into the game. And now trade deadline, we move him, which I think you get more for him then than you do now. And if you're trying to move him now, you just want him out of here because you're not thinking about, you just want him out of the building. But if you want something for him, to get something back for him, he's got to show people that, one, he's healthy, that he can play like he did last year before the injury, and that his mind's right. That he's not going to pout or he's not going to not give you maximum effort because he's still mad because he's here. Because you don't want that in your locker room if you're Billy Donovan. A guy who doesn't want to be here is going to, cause problems with these younger players. So if that's the case and they believe that's the way it's going to go, now you move them and you do whatever you have to do this summer.
I think it's a really good point, Stace, because and you are in that locker room and talk to those guys a hell of a lot more and have a better read on exactly that. If you're the Bulls and you don't believe that guy is going to show up and be a pro every day and want to help the younger guys behind him, absolutely you move him now. I mean, every contract in the NBA is tradable. I love when I hear people say, oh, it's not tradable. It's not. Everything is tradable. It's just a matter of what you're going to attach to whatever that contract may be to make it go away. The hardest part, if you're a Bulls fan, to watch the decline of LaVine in the last couple of years is Zach has gone from a player who made a couple all-star teams, who scored a bunch of points and made a lot of different moments happen over the course of his Bulls career to a contract. And that is a very bad place to be in the league when it crosses over. So if you're the Bulls and you don't think that he's going to show up in great shape, in great spirits, and be okay with some kind of secondary role to much younger, lesser accomplished players, you make that move and you don't look back, because to have him sit there for 4 or 5 months before the deadline and score 20 points as the losses pile up, that's not going to do anybody any good.
Whispers, you got something for Nick before we say goodbye?
Yeah, well, I knew he wasn't a true Chicago hater because he wore his Cubs hat here, and that's
Yeah.
hard to do these days too. So
These are dark times. These are dark times in Chicago sports, Nick. Everybody's losing, except maybe
Mark,
the Bears.
I truly cannot believe how bad it is.
I know.
It is so. It's like not only is it bad, and Stace, this goes to the thing we were just talking about for a while. There are no interesting personalities, really. That's what's sad to me, because for what we do, I mean, being on those Bulls teams, you had Derek and you had Joe and you had Luau, who was more quiet, but he had different layers to his personality. And here comes Gimme, and we know how he developed over time. And Tibbs was insane, but he had a personality. To look at not just the Bulls here. To look at the Cubs, I mean, oh my God, that team, they're bad and boring. The White Sox are a complete disaster. The Blackhawks, whatever. I mean, and now you've got like the Bears.
Caleb Williams, baby.
Caleb Williams, baby.
So mismanaged for so long, and now they've got all these picks, and they've got all this hype, and it just feels like things are coming down. But it is so hard as somebody who does. I love the city, and I still love the Cubs, and I love following what's going on. This is the worst ever. It is
I think you're right.
so bad.
So Nick, do you love to talk football with Johnny Yurkovich?
I love Uncle Yerk. I mean, we've gotten into it plenty over time, but I got a lot of love for all those guys. But what's sad, guys, and it is, especially given the way we started the conversation. What's tough for me as somebody who's loved the NBA my whole life is how much I'm looking forward to football starting. I mean, forget just talking to Yerk about it. I miss watching football. I mean, I played in high school. I followed it my whole life. But to see how bad the NBA playoffs were mostly, and to see the lack of interest, it seems, outside of the diehards, the people who follow the Bulls, the people who follow their teams. I mean, I'm always asking my friends in Orlando, and the Magic are a good example. They've got some good young talent, some solid personalities in that locker room. Banchero, he could really be the superstar Stace that we're talking about. But I asked my friends, like, what are you guys into about the NBA? And they're like, the NBA? Like, we might watch the playoffs, but we're not watching it and consuming it the same way we were when we were growing up. It's so strange to hear that now. So that's a long way of saying I'm looking forward to the football season a lot, especially given how tough it seems to be to get some momentum in the league again because of, and Mark, this goes to the point that you made in the beginning, the movement of the players is good maybe for parity in the league. I don't think personally that it's good long-term for not only stability, but building the popularity of the league up again. People all over the world know about the NBA and they know the stars, but you want them to be into things and following the game day to day. And again, from what I am seeing and from where I'm sitting, you're always going to have the diehards and you're always going to have the people that care about their teams. I don't see as much people caring about the league. And I think the shift, not only to the NFL, but to college football and what's going on, I think that is more pronounced than I can ever remember it.
One more question before we let you go, Nick. What do you think about Bronny James being drafted and all the stuff that came along with that? What do you think, Nick? I'm interested to hear you. Oh, no, we'll never make it. We're doomed. What do the Lakers do? Go ahead, rip into them like you did the Bulls, you dirty son.
I will
Just rip into them.
You know,
jump on somebody else, baby.
I'm never not going to be honest.
Be honest. I want you to be honest. Get on the Lakers now. I'm tired of you getting on my Bulls.
I mean, you know why Bronny got drafted. That part's not a surprise in any way. LeBron's got the power and he's got the ability to call the shot. And LeBron called the shot. I can only say, again, in my experience, I actually saw Bronny play. I went to Tucson. I saw him play Arizona. And I was texting some of my buddies in the league, and I was like, oh, I hope he's not coming out this year. I mean, he's just not close. And Stace, with somebody that young, you can't just say, "Oh, well, he stinks and he's never getting better, and he only got this job because of his dad." Who knows? He's so young still. He had that awful event with his heart a year ago. He's still, I'm sure, recovering from that. But I think what bothers me the most, and it ties into what I was just saying about the league in general. Why is there so much hype around Bronny? Why does it seem that so many, not only media outlets, but fans do care about where he went and what he's going to do? It's because they don't know who the hell any of these guys are from the most part in college, certainly on the international level. People are drawn to Bronny first and foremost because of LeBron, but they're drawn to Bronny James because they know Bronny James. He's been around. They've seen him grow up in the public eye. I don't think right now, at this stage of his career, he's anywhere close to an NBA player. But there are guys in the league that are in there right now who may not be on a roster if it hadn't been that they know somebody. Of course, the first person you think of is Thanasis in Milwaukee with Giannis.
He had a nerve to ask for a trade. He had a nerve to ask for a trade. I was like, I would have changed the locks on him so fast he wouldn't have been able to get into the building. You got the nerve to ask for a trade.
I mean, out of all the crazy things we've seen in the league, I saw that one. I was like,
that blew me away, Nick. I was like, is he serious? He has the nerve to ask for a trade?
That was, I mean, who knows? Who knows what's going on there? But the problem with the Bronny stuff is, and I know this certainly in the media game, they would be writing stories or talking about Bronny if they didn't think that the stories would click and the conversation would continue.
Yes.
And as frustrated as fans may get about, oh, here we go again, we've got to listen to talk about a guy who was drafted at the end of the second round and his dad is LeBron. Why? Why is that happening? It's because people are drawn and interested in it. I mean, they're interested in the story. And I can't stress this part enough. I don't think the NBA is going to shrivel up and disintegrate. But I do think that when you look closer into what's happening, that there are some real issues. I mean, we just had the NBA Finals, and there was Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Luka, Kyrie, and the ratings were worse this year than they were for Heat Nuggets. Wow. And I mean, I was at that one, and I covered that one. There were not a lot of people it seemed like were drawn into that finals matchup. And the numbers bore that out for this year, that it was less. So there are a lot of different fixes, I think, in play for the league. But the Bronny thing, as far as how it came to be in LA, it doesn't surprise me. But Stace, take solace in this. The Lakers are a complete mess too. They're going nowhere.
Thank you, Nick.
They're not anywhere close to a title. LeBron is,
and they got ultra superstars there, Nick. We don't have any.
Yeah. Well, okay, Stace, but if we're being real, they have interest in that team.
And Bronny James, here's the news. Dun, 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 dun. Bronny James is going to start at least 10 games in the NBA this year. Watch what I tell you. The over-under on that, he's going to start 10 games this year.
Hey, get ready to see a lot of Bronny on national
I'm telling you, he is going to start sometime in December when the games start to come on NBC or ABC, wherever it's at. I don't even know where it's at. But he will start 10 games this year. Because if my man, the undrafted kid, they don't want to trade, AR-15, Reeves, he started as an undrafted kid. Do not be surprised if LeBron James doesn't have Bronny as the starting point guard 10 games by December. That's my thing.
McDonald's ads and
it doesn't matter. He don't need all that. He already got all that. He already got all the NIL. He made $4 million last year. But do not be surprised, Nick, if he doesn't start 10 games this year. Could be more.
Stace, nothing would surprise me, especially with the Lakers. But the Lakers aren't very good. Yep. they aren't built to do anything. I mean, we didn't even touch on JJ Redick as the coach. I mean, JJ might be a good coach.
Might be a good coach, might be a bad
but he's never coached a damn thing. So,
he coached a third grade team. He coached a third grade team, and they finished below 500. So if that says anything right there.
He had no talent.
Yeah, just hey, all I know is, listen, Nick, I'm gonna be honest. I mean, we talk about LeBron James. You hear this nepotism, all this other. Let Stacey King's son be good enough to get to the 55th pick. I'm bringing my son to work too. LeBron, I feel you, baby. I'm not hating on you. Everybody might be hating on you, but everybody out there knows, Nick, if you got a chance to bring your son to the team, you do it too, Nick. You wouldn't go, well, little Nick's not good enough to be here. We don't draft him. You'd be like, I want little Nick drafted soon, okay? Or I'm going to Phoenix.
If I'm lucky enough to find the right lady and still have a couple kids, I'd bring that kid anywhere, everywhere, all the time.
See?
There you go.
See? So we're honest. So so you can't hate on LeBron. I always tell people, stop hating on LeBron, because we all know if we were in position to make that same call, we would do the same thing. But it's LeBron James, and everybody, is a lightning rod. Listen, I'm not a big LeBron James fan of some of the things he does, the GM LeBron James, but I'm not going to lie. If my son was in that position, I'd done the same thing. And the Lakers are going to allow me to do it? They're going to allow me to do it? I'm going to tell you when to draft him, you're going to do it? Come on over there, little king. Come on, Eric.
Whatever you want.
Can I get 3 kids on the team? Can I bring 3 kids on the team? Is that possible?
So you just missed an opening there. Nick just brought it up. So tell us about those ladies around the world.
No, we haven't. I didn't miss that because I didn't want to say anything just in case Nick had somebody in Florida. I didn't want to say and get him in trouble. So that's why I didn't go there, Nick. But I peeped what you said.
You always have my back.
Exactly. Leave it up to Tim. Leave it up to Tim to throw you under the bus.
I'll leave you guys with this because it is fitting, especially with all my travels. But a couple years after I started in Chicago, it was Valentine's Day. And I was sitting at some bar and I'm, singing Key Sweat or whatever came on, Brian McKnight. And I was really feeling good about myself. And I sent some tweet out to the effect of, shout out to all the girls I grew up with who always locked me in the friend zone, because I feel like I've gotten through that phase. I'm in a better place now. And in 2 minutes, my man Stace had retweeted that, and he was like, "You're in the friend zone forever now, baby." And I always remembered that, and I always have thought about it
Yes.
from here on.
See.
Needless to say, things are just fine. But
things are different.
But if I had LeBron's power and I had some kids, I would be putting them everywhere.
And they'd be working in the Lakers office too, front office. They'd be general managers, assistant GMs. Yeah.
All the way.
See, that's what I've been trying to tell people. People are on this all upset about it and nepotism. Okay, listen. I'm telling you, anybody had that opportunity to put their kid in that situation, they've done it. So don't be mad at LeBron. Don't be mad at Bronny. Now, what you need to be watching is what the Lakers do this year with that team. Because again, with AD, with him, AD's got to get to the point now, like, man, when does LeBron return? I'm ready to take this team over. We're ready to start winning. When are we gonna do this? Because he seems like he's taking that number one role now, in my opinion.
I think he could, but Stace, as you say that, I hear all the people in New Orleans listening to us going, "Oh, okay, yeah. We'll believe it when we see it." When Anthony Davis is ready to be the guy on a team. I mean, the whole thing with Bronny that makes me shake my head is it gave him that 4-year guarantee.
Yes.
I mean, damn, that's a lot of power.
Like $8 million. For the 55 million. And normally you that low, you're not guaranteed. You got to make the team.
Yeah, right. I mean, that shows you just how much power LeBron has. We're sitting here talking about, LeBron's got a lot of power. Yeah, LeBron's got so much power that he got his son drafted and got him a 4-year guarantee.
Wow.
That's the 55th pick.
That is the 55th pick. That's a lot, dude. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't mad at you. If the Lakers gonna allow me to do it, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. Come on, boy. You come and play with daddy.
That's right.
Hey, Nick, it was great catching up. Enjoy the rest of your summer. Hopefully we can see you back in Chicago, maybe at a Cubs game or doing something even more fun because the Cubs are losing almost every game. But we appreciate you joining us. That's our Odyssey Sports NBA insider, Nick Friedell. Remember to check out the Heat Check podcast. It's hosted by Trista Crick on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts. Nick, it was a blast. Thanks a lot. And I know Bulls Nation is going to have some reaction to this, but that's all part of the game.
But you're still a friend. You're still a friend of the program,
Still
no matter
number
what.
one in our book.
I'll always be there for y'all because you guys always treated me like an equal from the beginning, and
Yes.
I'll never forget that part
My
of
guy.
it, no matter what happens. But it was great to be with y'all again. And whenever everybody needs that reality check, I'll be there for you.
Do you plan on going somewhere else, Nick? Like to a nude island, somewhere with like nude people, like
Nude island.
What do you call it?
Where is that?
Hedonism six.
Hedonism? You gonna go to a hedonism island on the sandals? What you gonna do, Nick?
No.
I don't want to see a viral thing of you walking around butt naked on the beach. Okay.
I've got one more big trip in me, Stace, at Australia and New Zealand, and I'm not going anywhere near any kind of nude island anywhere.
Oh, I tell you what, Nick. Hey, Nick, you don't know what you're missing. I've been to quite a few of them. Yes, I'm telling you right now, Nick. It's a free-for-all, Nick. It's a free-for-all.
I'll take your word for it, Stace.
You gotta have a little freak in your name, Nick. Nick Freakdale. Freakdale, baby. Woo!
Usually it's Whispers that brings the show to a grinding halt. Now Stacy's taking over that role.
Ruining it.
I love it.
Oh, my God. Thanks for coming on, big dog.
Thanks, Nick. We love
Tell
you.
your mom
buddy.
I said hello.
You got it. Done deal. See you later.
Nick Friedell, our guest on the Gimme the Hot Sauce podcast. We'll try to clean things up here and finish the show.
Oh, man. I love Nick, man. That's my boy.
Hey, we got a show going on, Whispers. Come on, rein it in.
I'm sorry. It's where I go, Mark. I'm sorry.
Well, since you're talking, tell the folks how they can get some hot sauce.
Yes.
Well, it was just the 4th.
Yeah?
And
A lot of barbecuing going
I
on.
made a lot of ribs again. I'm sorry. You guys weren't invited.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Surprise, surprise.
But you can still get it at Jewel. You can still, soon to get it at Mariano's. And get it online at GimmeTheHotSauce.com.
Yeah, my wife likes to watch these cooking shows, the Food Network channel and stuff, and they're all making ribs and stuff for the 4th of July. And I'm seeing all these expert chefs, Bobby Flay and stuff, making their hot sauce from scratch. I'm like, they should just give us a call. We're some of the best hot sauce in the world.
You know
right
what?
now.
It would be a lot easier.
Yeah.
Oh, unless we got to roll to Gordon Ramsay and he says, you taste like shit. Then I'd have to throat punch him for saying it on national television. We don't want to do that, okay?
I'd
Gordon?
love to see Stacey at one
I
of those
would
cooking
like to
shows.
see that, actually.
Yeah.
No, you suck.
Yeah, you suck. Yeah, crackpot.
But yeah, so GimmeTheHotSauce.com. You can still use the codes, get extra free bottles. And some people have been taking advantage of that, so
Good.
appreciate it.
Yes, appreciate
Did you get
it.
Ricky his hot sauce? He was on a couple of times.
I never got his address.
Oh,
That's
come
the
on.
guy.
You're the hot
That's
sauce
the guy.
guy.
But that's the guy, Mark. Those are the guys, the producers and the directors.
I'm
That's their
kidding, I'm
spot.
kidding. It did get out.
Did it?
All right, good.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good.
All right, now's the time of the show where we get some questions from the audience. One of our old reliables, Jesse R, has a hot take. He says, although we will lose a ton, this season will be incredible. What? Giddey will replace Ball well and show his playmaking potential, although I don't see him being a star. He's kind of going back and forth, which is kind of the way Jesse
I think
rolls.
what we're reading here is Jesse's the other guy like Nick that the fans love to hate.
Yeah.
He's totally full of crap. He's just poking fun at us. This season's going to be incredible. He's just doing he's doing
We
one of
can't
those
read
jobs.
sarcasm.
No, we
like that,
can't.
you know?
No.
Well, he says hot take. That's where we got to take it. Here's the hot take. In other words, listen to this BS. And
Yeah.
it's going to be a great season.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Jesse R, you might need to stay off the typewriter. Stay off the keyboards, buddy.
Try to stay in one direction.
Yeah.
The Bulls have picked a direction. Maybe you could try that as
Yes.
well.
Try to stay with us. We're not going too fast. Stay with us.
Ben Feldman says, I think Stacey thinks too highly of Lonzo. They had a good half season, but that doesn't mean much.
Ben Feldman, what the hell are you smoking? What the hell are you talking about? What kind of question? I think too
Objection.
highly of Lonzo Ball.
That's what he
Lonzo
said,
Ball, when healthy,
Yeah, the
has
best
his
record in
team
the
number
East.
one, the
Yeah.
best record in the NBA. They're one of the best teams in the NBA. What the hell are you talking about? And then when he got injured, the Bulls kind of went downhill afterwards. So
He tied it all together. He's the ultimate connecting piece.
you know what? Listen. Your number two rebounder for the point guard position, number one in assists, third in scoring.
It's 40%
Shoots
on
40% from the 3-point line. Obviously, you didn't watch the games. Obviously, you
cascading
must.
effect.
Obviously, he must be playing NBA 2K because if you watch the Bulls game when Lonzo was healthy, him and Caruso were the two best defenders on the floor at every single night they played together. So don't give me that I speak too highly. If you're talking about his injury and what I think him coming back.
You can't control any of that.
Yeah.
We're just talking about what he did when he was on the court.
Like he went, he must have been. He's not a real fan. He's a guy that just came on. Come on, buddy.
And our last question, Aniko Co. We always get players who are at their lowest value for the highest price. And that goes back to what Nick was saying. He was condemning the last two front offices. It's easy to do when you're 1,000 miles in the air, but when you're in the trenches sometimes, like Stacey said, I agree with you. Most teams would have re-signed Zach to a max contract because a guy who averages 25 points a game doesn't grow on trees, and you just don't want to let him walk away for nothing.
That's my point. Regardless if you think Zach deserves that money or not, if you're a Bulls fan,
it's a cost of doing business.
It's a cost of doing business. When you're not an elite team, you're not Denver, you're not Boston, and you pay Jason Tatum $300 million, you pay Jaylen Brown $300 million. Who knows? In 3 years, those contracts may be like
injuries.
They could be injuries. Something could happen, and they'll be saying those guys are not worth it. But you have to keep your stars. Whoever your star is, whether you think he's a number one guy on another team or a number 3 guy on another team, teams have to keep their stars, and that's why when you look at teams like Milwaukee, you got Giannis. You couldn't let Giannis walk. You had to give Giannis his money before Giannis was really a superstar. Giannis wasn't a superstar when he first got that one contract. It was more like he's very good. The potential is there, but we gotta lock him in. So you'd be a fool let any star player average 25 walk. Where you gonna get 25 off the street? You gonna walk into Buffalo Wild Wings? Excuse me. Can anybody score 25 points in an NBA game? If so, we want to sign you.
Yeah,
Even Stephen A defended it back in the day. You just get a little walk.
And like Stacey mentioned, it's teams that are in the smaller markets that are really up against it too. I mean, I mentioned Brandon Ingram. You see DeJounte Murray, who was in San Antonio. He got traded to Atlanta. They didn't like the combination with him and Trey. Now he gets traded again. You have to protect your assets because when you're drafting in the top 10, if you let a guy walk, you set your franchise back, a number of years because you only get so many high picks. You got to make sure you get some value out of those picks.
And I love Nick because Nick brings a different, outlook on things, and he can, he sees, he's a national beat writer. He's very good at what he does.
Yeah.
But also you have to, temper that a little bit. What he's saying about the Bulls. The fact is that they pull the trigger in some people's eyes later than they should have. Most teams do that because a lot of teams don't want to give up if they think that, hey, we can win with this team. We're just one player away from winning. Most teams are going to keep their guys together as long as they can, and sometimes it's longer than what people will like. But at the end of the day, the Bulls give them credit that they've recognized that this is not working. This marriage is not working. So as much as I love DeMar, as much as I love AC, I hate to see those guys go, but they recognize we're only getting to the playing game with these guys. We can get in the playing game with some young players, some guys
especially in the East,
in the Eastern Conference, and the most important thing I think, Mark, people are losing sight of is that I don't think people know how important this pick is for next year. To be able to hold on to a top 10 pick, a lottery protected pick, that's important because if you give San Antonio that, you just help San Antonio basically is building a dynasty again around Wemby. That's basically what they're doing right now. They've got a ton of picks, like Oklahoma City. They got a ton of picks, and they still got a ton of young players that are established. Coming up 3-4 years experience. They get another draft pick, they could be right in the mix.
It wasn't Harden traded off the bench, and 2 years later was MVP.
Yeah, because Oklahoma City didn't want to pay him.
They didn't want to pay him.
That was the exception.
They wanted to pay him.
There's definitely ascending.
They wanted to pay him,
are there.
but they wanted to pay him as a reserve.
Exactly,
He wanted to be paid as a starter because he felt himself as a starter. You're playing starter minutes. I'm just coming off the bench. We don't want to pay you because we got Westbrook and we got Kevin Durant. There are a ton of kids on teams that can play that don't get the light or the shine to play, that when they go somewhere else, then people are saying, where did he come from? I didn't know he could play. I didn't know this kid was that good.
Yeah.
There's a ton of those kids. And listen, you pay your scouts. The Bulls pay scouts to go scout these people. So obviously, when you look at Giddey, you look at Jalen Smith, if you go back and look at their games when they played at their respective teams, those guys contributed at a high level for those teams, okay? Giddey was a starter from day one. And because they wanted to put him on the bench because he couldn't shoot the basketball, that's when his trade, they want to get rid of him. But we're getting a point guard that can rebound, can assist, control the tempo. You get a big in Jalen Smith that can stretch the floor, the typical stretch five that can rebound the basketball, can get up and down the floor. You got Kobe White, who's getting ready to ascend to a position, because Kobe White, in my opinion, can do what Zach can do, except without the athleticism. Okay, he's going to play, at least he plays defense. He's a better defender than Zach is, let's be honest, okay? He's not the athlete that Zach is, but he can score. He can put up 30, 40 points as well. And I think he's ready to ascend to the next level. Think about how many people wanted to get rid of Kobe 2 years ago. Trade him, he's a bust, he's terrible, he never played. Now, everybody loves Kobe. So you can't give up on guys. You can't say, get rid of this guy, he's too young, we want older guys. You can't have it both ways. You don't want to win now.
You gotta pick a direction.
You got to pick a direction. If Bulls fans, again, I know it's hard to trust front offices. I know it's hard to trust you. You don't have the trust in AK and those guys. But I'm telling you, ride it out. Ride it out. Don't just let them do what they're going to do, and let's see where it goes. Because we're playing for a 2025 pick, and I think this team is going to be better than what is going to be advertised. I think what's the over-under you think? If they don't keep Zach. If they don't keep Zach.
I'd say it's probably like 33.
Okay. What do you think?
I was going to say 30.
Yes. I would say somewhere mid-30s. Okay. But there's going to be a lot of teams in the mid-30s.
A lot of bad teams. In
a lot
the
of
East.
bad
you
teams.
Look at Brooklyn. They got rid of everybody.
So we have to be, even with this young talent that you have.
Brooklyn, Toronto, Charlotte, Washington, Detroit. That's 5 right there.
And listen, and Chicago, listen, we don't believe in tanking here. They don't believe in tanking. You can tell by the way they're directing, the moves that they made, getting some younger players that can play right away. They're not interested in tanking.
That's why I'm almost 100% sure Zach will not be on this team, even if they have to attach, like Nick said, a first-round pick, because they're worried about A, the mix in the locker room, and B, they don't want to win too many games. And
see, here's the thing. Here's the thing about Zach LaVine.
There to lose.
Here's the thing about Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine's problem, and talking to Zach LaVine's problem is not with his teammates. Zach is a good teammate. Oh, yeah, they love him. It's with the coaching staff. It's with Billy. His problem has always been with Billy. And until they can sit down, like if he's going to be here and they can't move him and they don't like what they're getting from the other offers from teams, because the teams know that the Bulls are trying to unload them. Okay. If you're AK and them, if you're not getting what you want from him and you're getting lowballed, why not bring him back if he's going to be a good soldier? If he's going to come here and he's going to play hard, he's going to practice hard, he's going to be a good teammate, he's going to work with Billy, they both can bury their hatchet, and he can play with one another, and he can coach them, then you move him at the trade deadline, because someone's going to get desperate when it comes trade deadline.
He won't be here, though.
Because he may not be here, but if he was, someone's going to they feel like they got a chance for a championship. They can use a third scorer. There's always a team like that.
But that's why they got the 2 second-round picks in that DeRozan 3-team trade. Those are going to go with Zach.
Well, listen, I'm not a GM, and I don't play to be one. But I would give 2 second-round picks before I give up a first-round pick.
That's what they're going to
see. Nick was talking about, you can give it like 2036.
Yeah. Well, who
knows? Maybe there's a Cooper Flag coming back then, and then we all look back and say, why did we do that? Yeah. If you can attach those 2 second-round picks to them, go do it. But I'm not giving up any first, because as we see now in this league, first-round picks are assets. They're assets now. Oklahoma City has like 38 of them, okay? San Antonio has a ton of them. So these are assets now that you have to keep, because you don't know, because kids are coming out younger and younger. You don't know what the draft's going to be year to year.
Yeah, Brooklyn, Utah are also in that boat. Ton of picks. Of course, Brooklyn made the Mikal Bridges trade. They got 5 first-round picks back, so they're definitely in a rebuild. All right, time to wrap it up. What are you watching, Whispers?
I watched the Axel Foley movie and A Family Affair the same night.
Yeah.
And, one's a chick flick. The other is the fourth Beverly Hills Cop. And Family Affair is really well done. Looks like one of the dumbest movies ever. It's actually pretty good.
Where's that at?
Axel, it's both on Netflix.
Is that Nicole
They're the
Kidman
2 top
and,
Netflix
Zach
movies. And so I lost the battle. My daughter and wife.
It's not
actually
based
told
like
that's
on
a
the
better
old
movie.
series with Buffy and Jody, is it?
No.
I was getting ready to say, I thought that was
No,
Mr.
not
French.
like that. Mr. French.
Mr. French is like a freak.
Who moved my chess pieces?
Yeah. They over there messing with the daughter.
Yeah, check out the old series. That'd be a better watch.
Yeah.
But that Axel F, Eddie Murphy, that is
bad, huh?
so bad.
That's too bad to hear.
Yeah.
Oh, and they have all the stars in it,
Yeah,
even
yeah.
more than you'd expect. Some other cameos and stuff. It is horrendous.
I started watching it, Mark. I might have been 2 minutes in. I'm like, this is awful.
Oh,
I wonder why it's Netflix.
Oh man,
Old comedy. It
Just
wasn't even
sad.
funny. It wasn't even funny. It was like they were trying so hard to be funny and trying to recapture the Beverly Hills Cop of the 80s.
it's hard. to
adding
do
the
that,
'80s
yeah.
music and everything.
Oh
was-
yeah, the first song, the theme song was. And he's driving in
Glenn
that
Fry.
little blue car.
Na-na-na-na-na-na.
I'm like, oh
He
no.
is no.
So there you go.
Everything's
There's a good
all-
recommendation. Don't watch it.
Don't.
All right. All right. Stacey, what do you got?
I'm still America. I'm still watching Your Honor. Because
A great series.
it's a great it is well put together, and there's so many twists to it. Even now I'm in the second season, and oh my goodness, like this Bryan Cranston is a hell of an actor.
The guy playing the gangster. Is
Yeah,
fantastic,
he
too.
is. Yeah, he's a good one too.
Evil looking.
Yeah. Oh man, and then it's just so many twists, and like you're constantly going, oh my, he's on the edge of the seat because every part of it is like so entertaining, and it's like it's captivating. So you just find yourself like, even if you want the phone rings, you won't even answer the phone because you might miss a part, unless you just freeze it.
Yeah.
But I don't answer the phone. Don't call me while I'm watching this show. Unless it's 911, you better text me 911. I'm in trouble.
So they must say objection a lot.
Yeah, because it's about the courtroom. But he's not. But
that was earlier.
but this is a show that shows what a parent will do for their
Absolutely.
child.
Yeah.
All of us, like I was saying, my son asked me would I do the same thing for him. I said, no, your ass going to jail. I'm not doing time for you.
Well, first you're getting him on the Lakers. Now he's going to jail. So I don't know what's going on.
But the show is about protecting your child,
Yes.
what you would do, to the lengths you would go to protect your child. And this is a well-known judge, and his son commits an accident. It was an accident.
Yeah,
it wasn't
committed a crime.
like he committed a crime and went out and robbed a bank. He committed an accident, and it changed a lot of people's
You
lives.
can feel the pain for the entire family.
And Mark, the thing about it was, it just didn't impact like the two people involved, all the families,
Whole community.
all
Politics
the
in the
community,
community, yeah.
the politicians.
Yeah.
Everyone was impacted by this accident.
Yeah, you should definitely check it out.
Check it out.
It's a great
5
series.
stars, thumbs
Really
up.
well done. And in a similar vein, one of the underrated streaming services right now is Apple Plus. They've got a lot of good stuff on there, a lot of good series, short,
they do.
8-episode kind of series. I started watching a couple of them, and the one that I've been watching recently, it's called Defending Jacob. And it's
Oh, you just saw that?
Similar to what
This is
you were
awesome.
just saying. Yeah, Chris Evans,
Yeah,
Captain
it's awesome,
America.
yes.
He's got a middle school son
Yep.
who's accused of murdering a classmate, and the lengths that they go
Yes.
and how it tears the family apart. I got 2 more episodes to go, so don't ruin
I'm
it
not
for
gonna
me.
say anything.
But it's been great.
But that was one of the first Apple originals.
Yeah.
So it's a little older. It's probably like 2 or 3 years old. But that was one of the very first. That was during the COVID. They brought
Yeah.
that one up, and that's a great show. I mean, great movie.
I mean,
You
the
should
way it
watch
tears
that.
the parents apart.
yeah.
You do want to do anything like you said to help your kids.
Because you start to question, you start to question yourselves as parents. Like,
Right.
what are we willing to do? Like, are we willing to, to keep him out of trouble? Are we willing to put our lives at risk?
Exactly.
And it's
And most parents would.
Yeah,
They'd
most
say,
parents would.
Let me put myself in that place because I don't want
Yeah.
my son or daughter.
But
to
I'm telling you
suffer.
something right now, America. If my son did something, he going to jail. Hey, listen, I worked my ass off to be doing the right thing. I am not going to jail for nobody. Sorry. So
Stacey
King
speaks the
boys,
truth.
I love y'all. Keep doing what you're doing. Daddy loves you. But if you commit a crime where you got to do the time, I'll come visit you.
And speaking of family, we want to take the time now to congratulate our producer D and his lovely lady Melissa. They had the birth of their child, Mateo.
Look at
he
that
was
cute
born
baby.
Tuesday evening. If you're watching on YouTube, we got the photo up right now.
Yes.
What a lovely
Look at that cute
young
that baby.
That's
he
fantastic.
looks like he's about 15. The baby looks like about 15. The baby looks like he just said, "Hey, can I get a bottle?" he just bypassed the breast. Like, let me get a bottle with a little.
I'll just drive to the grocery store and get it myself.
D, I'm sorry, baby. I'm sorry. That's a cute baby boy. Thank God he looked
the
like the
best.
mother. Woo! Woo!
Congratulations to Dee and Melissa. We want to thank Cisco for stepping in. We want to
Cisco.
thank Nick for all his help. And we have a brand new episode coming at you next week. Keep following us on social media at Gimme the Hot Sauce 21. We'll have clips from the show and all kinds of stuff getting you ready for next week's episode. And want to tell you about how you can take care of your transportation
Yes.
during the summer.
And I'm sending a special shout out to my boy Mike Amaroff. He's out under the weather. He had some procedures done today, and I hope you're feeling better, Mike. I see him next week. Mike got a new haircut. He met me at the airport yesterday. He got a new haircut. I didn't even recognize him. I say, "Who the hell is that?"
Wow.
I say, "I only knew the truck.
Yeah.
But he had a little procedure done today, so hopefully he's feeling better. Be back
Yeah,
next
get better,
week.
Mike.
Windy City Limousine provides championship service. Making a reservation is so easy, it's a slam dunk. Let Windy City break the full court pressure of traffic and get you to your destination in style and on time. Contact them at 847-916-9300 or visit them at windycitylimos.com. They have SUVs, they have Sprinter trucks, they got party van, they got everything. Anything you need, whether it be large or small, make sure you check out Windy City.
Whispers, you got anything to say about sandals or anything else on the way out?
No,
Yeah.
I'm good.
Good?
I had some
Hedonisms?
I had some thoughts, but I don't want to share any pictures at the moment.
Because the way Stacey brought it down last segment, I thought you could top that. Maybe.
Yeah.
No way out.
No, I'm going to leave it with him this time that he brought to the screeching
I
halt,
say,
not
listen,
me.
ain't no shame in my game, America. I have my ass right out there walking. I've been through quite a few of them, baby, in my younger days. I am not afraid to walk out there like God gave us. He made us naked. I'm going to be naked, baby. Hey,
I'm just a raisin in the sun.
I am a raisin in a bowl of cream of wheat, baby. I'm out there, baby. Woo! Throw some SPF on me, baby. And I'm walking out there.
Where do you think he went in Mexico?
Well, with that word picture ingrained in your mind, it's time to say goodnight from the Give Me the Hot
The
Sauce
sexiest
crew.
man in Montana riding on a horse naked.
We'll see you
Episode
next week,
7,
everybody.
page 79.
Stacey Putin.
Hey, what's up? This is Stacey King
And I'm Timmy Whispers.
of Gimme the Hot Sauce podcast. Each week, make sure you join us. Timmy Whispers, what do they need to hit?
They need to hit like and subscribe so they get all the notifications and news from our podcast.
That boy is sweet. Just make sure when the video's over, click to the left, and you'll hear our previous videos for the previous week and have some fun because we'd love to have fun on Gimme the Hot Sauce podcast.
Woohoo!
Oh my goodness! It's only preseason, but I'm hyped, Neil.